What if the emptiest night carries the brightest current of all? As St. John of the Cross wrote, "In the dark night of the soul, bright flows the river of God." This is no gentle creek, no trickle of comfort in the shadows. It is a hidden torrent that runs beneath our fears and illusions, unseen because it asks us first to surrender every anchor we cling to. We feel abandoned in the dark night, as if God has turned away, leaving only cold walls of silence. Yet this desolation is not punishment, but preparation. The soul is stripped of its needless clutter, old identities, brittle certainties, the frantic hunger to control what cannot be contained. In that unadorned emptiness, a passage opens. Imagine a river flowing beneath a winter's frozen surface. The ice above seems to separate you from life, but beneath its cold crust, water moves with undiminished force. If you strike the ice with enough faith, it cracks, and the living current bursts through. So it is with spiritual darkness. It conceals the living waters waiting to break into your heart. This is the refining fire of the night, not a blaze that consumes you, but a gentle flame that melts away the dross of false selves. In the crucible of silence, attachments dissolve, and the soul learns that its true shape is not defined by titles or roles, but by its capacity to receive and flow. What remains is space, an open vessel for grace. Mystics across time have whispered of this hidden river. Teresa of Avila spoke of prayer as a solitary road through arid plains, where every step becomes an act of naked trust. Carl Jung saw the dark night as the alchemical stage of Negredo, where the psyche descends into its own shadow to discover hidden gold. Each tradition points not to despair, but to a secret corridor that leads to union. The night's silence is an invitation to listen, not to the frantic voice that demands answers, but to the deeper current that hums beneath thought. It guides you through barren fields where nothing grows, only to plant in you a seed so radiant it needs no soil. That seed is the presence of God, awaiting the thaw of your resistance. In the absence of light, the river does not vanish. It merely becomes quieter, more focused in its purpose. When you cease the struggle to illuminate every corner of your mind, the hidden current begins to sing. You realize that the river was never absent. You were simply too busy to hear its song. And the song carries an ancient promise that no night lasts forever. But to follow that song requires courage. The darkness will press against your senses, whispering that you are lost. It will conjure shadows of doubt, test the strength of your faith and emptiness. Yet each moment you stay present in the silence, the current grows stronger, carving a deeper channel through the bedrock of your being. This descent into the hidden stream is not a step away from God, but a step into the very heart of mystery. It is here, where all images fail, that you meet the divine without veil or form. It is here, in the river's silent surge, that you discover union beyond words, beyond certainty, beyond fear. And so we stand at the mouth of an unseen river, the night pressing close, the current calling softly beneath our feet. Do we trust the flow we cannot yet see? Do we dare break through the ice of our own making and let the bright waters carry us home? How will we learn to follow a river that moves in the silence. We stand at the edge of the hidden river, where fractured ice reveals the pulse of water beneath. That first crack was an act of daring, an invitation to follow the unseen flow into darkness. Yet beneath the brittle crust lies a deeper mystery, the fire that forges the soul in its own crucible. The night's silence becomes more than absence. It is a furnace of transformation. In its stillness, every fear rises like smoke, ready to be consumed. The shadows peel away, revealing the true shape of our hearts. What once seemed empty now glows with embers of potential. This is no ordinary heat. It does not scorch in blindness, but burns with precision, searing attachments and illusions. Each fleeting thought of control, every trembling grasp at comfort becomes kindling for this sacred flame. As the fire devours what is unneeded, space opens for something far older than our anxieties. Imagine a forge where raw ore meets the hammer's fall, each strike ringing through the workshop of your being. With every blow, the metal bends and brightens, casting off impurities as sparks into the dark. So it is when sorrow and silence hammer against the walls of the heart. They shape us, weep us clear, and temper our spirit for a purpose beyond ourselves. In the center of the crucible, a molten river begins to flow. It carries away the dross of small selves, the brittle armor of pride, the rust of unspoken regrets. What remains is not fragile, but flexible, more alive, more responsive, more capable of reflecting light even in the darkest hours. When the fire and ice have danced their ancient dance, what emerges is not a perfect self, but a living vessel, hollowed by sorrow, polished by perseverance. It stands ready to receive the bright current that ever flows beneath the gloom. No longer afraid of the night, it welcomes the hidden stream into its depths. In that hollow, the river of presence shines like quicksilver, swift and unbound. It speaks in a language older than words, a gentle pressure at the back of the eyes, a trembling hush in the blood, a gentle insistence that there is more here than you have ever known. It is the promise of dawn carried in the dark. And yet, the work is not done when the flame subsides. The cooled metal must be tested, bent, and tempered again by life's currents. Each new challenge is a quenching bath, a shock that hardens the resolve and refines the shimmer. Through joy and sorrow, ease and trial, the vessel learns to hold the river steady. Gradually, we discover that the fire was never separate from the river, that heat and flow are aspects of the same mystery. The river's current glows from within, and the fire cools into clarity. In this unity, the soul finds its rhythm, a constant alternation of burn and rest, of contraction and release, of surrender and return. What was agony becomes sacred alchemy. The deepest wounds become entry points for light. The darkest night reveals its hidden purpose, to carve a channel through which the bright river may enter unimpeded. Our pain is the path, our emptiness the welcome mat. Now, standing in the aftermath of flame and frost, we feel the river stirring beneath our feet. We know that true strength is born of emptiness and refined by fire. We understand that the unseen current is not a distant gift, but the very ground beneath every step. As we prepare to follow the hidden flow into wider horizons, a question arises. When the curtain of night parts, will we recognize the brilliance waiting in the open air, or will we hesitate at the brink of dawn? How do we learn to walk unafraid into the brightness born of our own crucible? How do we learn to walk unafraid into the brightness born of our own crucible? We stand at the threshold between shadow and light, where the frozen river of the soul has been unlatched by fire. The air tastes of possibility, and yet our feet hesitate on the brink of dawn. To step forward is to trust that the flames which once threatened to consume us have instead forged a path toward union. In that forging, we have shed the brittle armor of self-contempt and pride. We emerge like a butterfly from its chrysalis, wings still trembling, body unaccustomed to the vast sky. Yet each flutter is an affirmation. The flame did not destroy us, it awakened us to our true shape. The crucible was never an obstacle, but the midwife to our rebirth. Now, as the night's residue dissipates, we feel the river of God flowing not beneath, but within. It moves through the marrow of our bones, carrying a current of grace that cannot be charted by any map of thought. Every pulse, every breath becomes an invitation to surrender more deeply into this living torrent. There is no barrier between the channel and the shore. It is all one seamless expanse of presence. The transformation is not a one-time event, but a new way of being. In moments of trial, we recall the fire and let it temper our fear. In moments of ease, we remember the ice and let it humble our triumph. The dark night and the bright river are no longer opposites, but partners in an eternal dance, one dissolving the other, one revealing the other, both inseparable. This is the union for which every longing was a rehearsal. The seeker and the sought have collapsed into a single movement, a single note in the symphony of existence. We no longer ask where God is, we simply feel the symphony in every cell. We no longer chase light, we become light's unfolding. We no longer stand apart, we stand within the seamless tapestry of being. If this journey has stirred something in you, like the video and subscribe so we may continue walking these winding paths together. And now, in the hush that follows the final ember's glow, there is only the gentle roar of the river and the breath of dawn. In that sacred silence, the soul remembers that every dark night was but a doorway, every wound an entry to deeper wholeness. Here, at the heart of transformation, we meet the divine not as a distant guest, but as the true shape of our own awakening.